Hello friends, I am Dr. Amol Pathak. I am the Assistant Professor in Department of Practice of Medicine at Jawaharlal Nehru Homeopathic Medical College, Parul University. Today I am going to make a video on a topic named as acid-base imbalance. So, when we discuss acid-base imbalance, let us first try and understand that the normal pH of the blood, human blood, it ranges in between 7.3 to 7.5. So if we consider the range of the pH for various fluids, we have already studied in our 12th class that any fluid who has a pH below 7 is acidic in nature, whereas any fluid which has a pH more than 7 is alkaline in nature. So if we apply this to blood, we can clearly understand that the blood is alkaline in nature. So before we go in details of this, let us first try to understand that all the fluids that are present in our body, apart from blood, say for example the salivary secretions, the lacrimal fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, the seminal fluid, vaginal secretions, even the sweat, all has its specific pH. Some of these fluids are acidic, whereas some of these fluids are alkaline in nature. So, how this pH is maintained and what are the different factors which are responsible for altering the pH of these fluids? So we will be limiting ourselves for the acid base imbalance of blood. So what are the different factors which can affect the pH of the blood, which can either reduce the pH or which can increase the pH of the blood, that we are going to discuss. Okay, so let's first try and understand the composition of blood. So we all know that the blood consists of two different things. One is the fluid part and the another is the cells. Fluids and cells. Fluid is nothing but the plasma plus cells means the RBCs, WBCs and the platelets. Now the fluid part, that means the plasma, it consists of water. Now apart from the plasma and cells, the composition of blood is, it also consists of various gases in the dissolved states like oxygen, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxides, etc. So those gases to which a person gets exposed to gets dissolved in the plasma. The next thing is the blood consists of different electrolytes. Say for example, serum electrolytes like sodium, potassium, chloroids. It also consists of various enzymes like SGOT, SGPT, alkaline phosphatase. It also consists of blood sugar, serum bilirubin. It also consists of serum cholesterol. It also consists of creatinine, blood urea, nitrogen. So all of these things are present in the blood. So till now what we were reading is the composition of blood. It consists of the plasma and it consists of the cells. But apart from these, all these things are also present in blood. So what happens is these gases which are present in the dissolved state affects the pH of the blood. So how? I will tell you. The plasma consists of water, that means H2O, and other gases are present in a dissolved state. The most important gas which is responsible for affecting the pH of blood is carbon dioxide, that is CO2. Now when this CO2 dissolves with H2O, which is present in the plasma, it leads to the formation of one acid. The name of that acid is carbonic acid. The formula is H2CO3, carbonic acid. Now this carbonic acid is a very unstable compound, and it breaks down into two different compounds, two different ions, that is the hydrogen ions, that means H plus ions, and bicarbonate ions, that is HCO3 minus ions. And that is how the hydrogen ion and the bicarbonate ions are formed, and which affects the pH of the blood. Okay, so now what is the pH? pH means power of hydrogen. The more the hydrogen ions present, the less will be the pH. That means pH is inversely proportional to the hydrogen ion concentration which is present in the blood. pH is inversely proportional to the hydrogen ion concentration. The more the hydrogen ion concentration, the lesser will be the pH, and the lesser will be the pH means the acidic will be the fluid. So as the hydrogen ion concentration increases, the pH decreases and the fluid turns more acidic. The pH turns more acidic. Now we have understood that H2O plus CO2 forms H2CO3, that is the carbonic ion, which is unstable in nature, and that is why it gives rise to H plus HCO3 minus ions. Okay, and this H plus ions, that is the hydrogen ions, is responsible for affecting the pH. Now from this equation we can clearly understand that the formation of hydrogen ions depends upon the concentration of carbon dioxide and water which is present in the plasma. Say for example, if the concentration of carbon dioxide increases or decreases in the plasma, it will adversely affect the concentration of hydrogen ions. Similarly, if the dissolving capacity of this water for carbon dioxide increases or decreases, then again it will affect the pH. Now what do you understand by the dissolving capacity of the water? So here I will tell you a simple example. If I give you a glass of plain drinking water, and if I give you a glass full of sea water, water I have taken from the sea, and if I ask you to dissolve a teaspoon of salt in it, in which water the salt will get dissolved first? Obviously you will say that the salt will get dissolved in the drinking water. Now why is this happening? The amount of salt is same, the amount of water is also same, but the salt is not getting dissolved in the seawater. Why? Because the dissolving capacity of the seawater for salt is different. Why? Because seawater is already consisting of various minerals, various other salts. So what is present in the water affects the dissolving capacity of that particular salt. Same thing happens with the water which is present in the plasma. The dissolving capacity of that water which is in the plasma differs from person to person for the carbon dioxide. Now what affects the dissolving capacity of this plasma? Now as we have already discussed that the plasma is consisting of various electrolytes. It consists of sugar. It consists of different metabolic waste products also. So all these things affects the dissolving capacity of the plasma, the water present in the plasma to carbon dioxide. So that is why if you have noticed this, all the things are mentioned in the ranges. Say for example, the normal range for hemoglobin is this to this, the normal range of blood sugar is this to this, the normal range of serum bilirubin is in between this, the normal range of serum sodium is in between this. So if all these elements falls into a particular normal range, then the pH will remain normal. If the any element falls out of the range, then the pH will get adversely affected. So from this we have understood that the pH depends upon the concentration of carbon dioxide as well as the dissolving capacity of water. If the dissolving capacity changes, the pH changes. If the concentration of carbon dioxide changes, again the pH changes. So on the basis of this, if the blood becomes acidic, the clinical terminology for it is acidosis. And if the blood becomes alkaline in nature, the clinical term is alkalosis. So acid-base imbalance is broadly divided into two types, that is acidosis and alkalosis. Acidosis and alkalosis is further divided into two types, that is metabolic acidosis and respiratory acidosis. Similarly, metabolic alkalosis and respiratory alkalosis. Now, what is metabolic acidosis and what is respiratory acidosis? What is metabolic alkalosis and what is respiratory alkalosis? So, respiratory acidosis and respiratory alkalosis are those acid-base disorders which occurs on account of disturbances of respiration, disturbances of gaseous exchange. Say for example, if the carbon dioxide which needs to get exhaled, which needs to get eliminated from the body, if it remains in the body because of any pathological condition, the concentration of CO2 will increase in the blood and it will adversely affect the pH of the blood. Similarly, if suppose the amount of carbon dioxide which is getting eliminated from the body, which is more than required, and the concentration of carbon dioxide reduces in the blood, then it will result into a clinical condition called as alkalosis. And as the cause is respiratory in nature, it will be termed as respiratory alkalosis. So respiratory acidosis, it occurs because of increased concentration of the carbon dioxide in the blood, whereas respiratory alkalosis occurs because of decreased concentration of carbon dioxide in the blood. Now we can clearly understand that what are the different factors which are responsible for respiratory acidosis. That means increase in the concentration of CO2 in blood, and which are the different factors which can result into respiratory alkalosis. That means removal of excessive carbon dioxide from the blood.